You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. I'm laughing a little bit because this first one is probably the least important one we'll ever read, but we got to mix it up every now and then, all right? So we'll take a break from the lost 20-year-olds. You're 25. You're supposed to be lost, man. I don't know what to tell you. All right. But we try. We try quite a bit. All right, here we go. Man checking in here. My roommate and I need an arbitrator. We know this may not be as serious as some of the requests you normally take, but this is where 7 months of quarantine has left us. We're 24, live in an apartment in Brooklyn. He's an engineer. I work for a nonprofit. Life's good. Last week, I took it upon myself to clean out our bathroom sink. We generally keep the apartment clean, but there was some schmutz around the drain, so I grabbed one of our forks to scrape it out. After that, I cleaned the fork, and it was drying in our dish drain when my roommate got home. He was thanking me for cleaning the sink and asked how I did it. I said I used one of the forks, and he freaked out. There were 3 forks still in the dish drain. We don't know which one was used to clean the bathroom sink. We now have been arguing for 5 days about what to do with them. He wants to throw all 3 out. I think we can do another round of cleaning, but should just put them back. So this guy, the guy emailing wants to just clean them a second time in the dishwasher and use them. The other roommate is like, we don't know which one's the live fork, and if they're all mixed into the 3, chuck them all. If you can't identify which of the 3 forks we use, why does it matter? Okay. We have other forks. It's not like a college apartment. We have 1 fork, 1 plate a person. By the way, just side note here, our dish fork utensil thing got so out of control in college. I think I've told the story before, Kyle, so you got to check on me as I get older about repeating stories. But we came up with 1 plate, 1 bowl, 1 cup. Not the 1 cup that maybe you guys remember from a long time ago. Nice. Fork, knife, spoon. But then it got really, it turned into a free-for-all because then guys are starting to take strainers and putting it in their kit. So basically it came down to like, you had to wash your own stuff, and that was the only way it was getting done. Because we had another roommate that if he would cook some mac and cheese, he would leave like 3 bites in the pot and then would say, hey, do you want that mac and cheese? And you may say, oh, I don't know, let me take a look at it. Or yeah, maybe I'll grab a bite. I'm not sure. And then if you didn't eat it, and then guys would be like, how come there's still mac and cheese in a pot left here? And then the guy would be like, well, Russillo said he might take a bite. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't. So what does that mean? Now it's my property?
It's a bait pot.
And then he'd be like, well, right. And his thing, and it was total bullshit. He would just do it. And look, it's just a weird thing about living with people when you're younger. It's like when you really start to learn, you're like, wait. And it always goes back to the roommate theory. How many people have you spent more time with that you go, man, I really like this person more, versus the much larger number when you go, the more time I spent with this person, the less I ended up liking him. I mean, it's the same thing as actors or people that talk for a living. You're like, I really like this person. But man, the longer I listened to him, the less I ended up liking him, because the longer you're around somebody, really the more chances they have to screw up as opposed to actually impress you and do positive things. So living with people at this young age. Now, granted, you guys are a little bit older. You're out of college. You're 24, and you don't see a problem with it. And, we had all sorts of different things, and we had to disband the 1 plate, 1 cup, 1 bowl utensil deal. We had to just completely shut down the whole system because, guys, it just turned into a free-for-all. And then if you used a spatula, then a guy was claiming the spatula was his because he took care of the spatula more. I mean, it was really got really stupid.
Custody over the spatula.
Yeah, like a dude was like, I bought the spatula. How come you think? He's like, well, because I use it more. I'm always cooking eggs in the morning, and you guys don't eat breakfast as much as I do. And we're like, oh my God. And it's just crazy because it turns into all these debates where you go like, all right, so we had one thing where when the mail showed up, we'd leave the mail on this fold-out table that was by the staircase. And of course, I was the kind of guy that I wouldn't look at my mail for a month because most of it was bad news. And, that's something else you got to grow out of. Like, open the mail, man, because the news doesn't get any better. You don't just get to ignore it forever.
The late fees only increase.
Yeah, right. So I would be like, whatever. And then, I knew it was there. Like, that was my little area that when I needed to actually deal, I could then go and, I'd be like, hey, who threw out all that stuff? And then the other member would go, it sat there forever. I was sick of looking at it. I'm like, really? 4 envelopes ruining your fucking day? Like, we're college kids. There's 6 of us. This place is not exactly immaculate. If there's some stuff on we're using a fold-out table Bills fans would jump on and break as a piece of furniture in the living room. So, I don't know what your expectations were for this, but every now and then there's going to be some loose papers around, and it's just going to happen. Like, I don't think those not being in anyone's line of vision improves much around here. All right. But everybody is different. We had the same thing with the laundry, where wet laundry, do you take somebody's wet laundry and put it in the dryer ahead of time and then put your stuff in, or you just take your wet laundry out and leave it so that they get moldy stuff and you just do your laundry on your own way? We were house divided on that one too. So none of this is very new. This stuff happens and it will happen forever. So our man essentially is asking, do we just throw out the forks? You've been arguing about this for a week. Throw out the forks. Throw out the forks. Now, yes, chances are it's totally fine and good to go. But if he has a weird thing about wanting to stick the fork in his mouth that was, dealing with some crud around a drain in a bathroom, it's not the optics, it's just a sense of it. I mean, if you really broke down using forks at a restaurant, or if you look at your utensils and you're like, oh man, back when we were at restaurants all the time, I mean, you could get in your own head about it. So you have to respect the fact that it bothers him. So this bothers him so much that he wants to chuck the forks. I mean, what are we talking about here? $10 to replace the forks? And you guys spent a week on this? That's the kind of math you should be doing. You shouldn't be fighting for the forks. You should be saying, hey, I get to spend $10 on this to get out of this stupid conversation. And there's your solution. I don't blame you. It's nice that you cleaned the drain. The forks are probably okay. But if the 3 forks are driving this guy crazy and therefore driving you crazy to the point you have to write an email, spend the $10 or upgrade $20. Amazon, full set, backup set, extra utensils. Easy.
Yeah, the stakes are super low. It's worth it. It's
Yeah,
not like
right.
you got to fit a new doorknob or something. It's just forks.
Okay, Brian checks in. 30-year-old guy living in Wisconsin, actively dating online. All right, dude. Recently met a 28-year-old girl. We had a guy chime in. He goes, I've slept with hundreds of girls the last year, and I don't know what to do.
Well, you're doing it, man.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, he was kind of bummed out about it, though. So I read that one that Kyle sent me. I got to go back and find it because at least it's entertaining. But it's also, as the guy points out, like, I'm starting to feel a little gross. Like, yeah, okay. I'm like, what are you, a NBA player or a bartender, man? Here we go. All right. So our man is 30, dating online, met a 20-year-old girl. We hit it off in a way I've never hit it off with anyone before. Within 24 hours, there were jokes about marriage, kids, etc. We both knew it was insane to think these things so quickly. She asked me some deep questions early on. How many people I'd slept with? Terrible question. Terrible. Nothing good ever comes to that question early on. All right. Religious views, kids, etc. She mentioned I seemed like, quote, the guy she's been looking for, and had an insanely good feeling about this one. Those are her quotes. She also happens to be a dentist who is objectively attractive, which of course doesn't hurt. Hey, man, no problem. You're not shallow. People like what they like. I'm not exactly a slouch. I'm a decent looking guy. All right, dude. Self-confidence. I have a graduate degree from Wisconsin. I've had a history of sleeping around in the past and partying a lot. Well, okay. Sounds like Madison. I was very open with her about this. In the last year, I've really changed what I want. I'm tired of meaningless sex. Some guys are listening to this going, oh, sorry, it must be terrible. All right, so our guy gets around a bit. He parties, and, that happens with some guys. All right, so he's shifted his focus to finding his life partner. Hey, he's hit 30. Maybe it's 31 for others. Maybe it's 25. Maybe it's 50 for other dudes. All right, after just 2 days of messaging, we met. The conversation was good. We had chemistry. Following the date, we confirmed we wanted to meet again. However, the next few days, she was very quiet, and I inquired what had changed. She told me I was overly open about my past. Everybody asks that question and wants honesty until they get honesty. Like, oh, hey, I'm Ryan. What's your name? Oh, what's your stories? You're like, oh, I used to be out of control for like a decade. Like, well, when did that stop? Last week. Oh, really? Cool. Look, let's just all be honest with each other. I mean, we get probably predictable reactions based on information that we don't always want to hear. And the longer you go, the longer your past is. And everybody kind of has a past. And sometimes you have to get over it. And sometimes there are things that you're just not going to be able to get over. I admire guys that don't care about anyone's past, or women that don't care about anybody's past, but it's not always the same for everyone. Some people, it's a bit more of a hang up, especially if there's somebody that they know that's part of that past, the girl or guy that you have a lot of feelings for. So she told me I was overly open, hooking up with girls, being into older women, pursuing girls at weddings, and being open to hooking up with a professor if I was asked. I never did, but it's kind of a fantasy. So you just went all in. That was stupid.
So strange.
Yeah. Like, I kind of get what happened to our guy here, because you're connecting in a way you've never connected before. You feel this way. You're like, oh my God, did I just get hit over the head with the one where this feeling, and we see it in movies and we hear these stories, but it doesn't happen to any of us. And then you're thinking, wait a minute, it does happen. It does exist. Because I do have a couple friends that are in relationships like that, where it was just absolutely knocked out with love immediately. And it really worked out. And I think that's what everybody kind of hopes will happen when they decide they want to settle down. But because that happened to you, you just started telling her everything, and you should have had more of a filter, because the number is low of people that are like, oh, cool, you told me everything. You're smart enough from this email that I think you already knew that you screwed up. So she said my openness about the past was a turnoff. Shocker. It made her feel like she couldn't move forward with me. She reaffirmed the chemistry was totally there, but the things I'd said made her feel like I wasn't in it for a relationship, but more like friends with benefits. The sliver of hope she left via text is, if it's meant to be, it will be. She said she's taking some time to reevaluate what she wants and perhaps taking a break from dating. I've never felt so much heartache after seeing a girl just one time. Wow. I know it's insane. No, it isn't. I don't think it is insane. I get it. But I honestly believe we'll end up getting married if she gives me a chance to prove I'm the guy for her. I've been thinking about writing her a letter to show how much I'm invested in this. I want her to understand I'm committed to this in a way I've never been romantically committed before. Do you think I should write her the letter? Should I wait and see if she reaches out? What should I do? Okay, don't press it here. But I understand what you're going through, because you feel like you immediately screwed up when you were actually just trying to be entirely genuine. You know, it's not like you did something awful. You just shared way too much information. So I do think there's a way to repair this by giving it a couple days and outlining everything that you just said to us in this email to her, going, hey, I have never felt this way before. I connected with you in a way that is so foreign to me that, yeah, I opened up. But I think the positive, despite what the turnoff may be about me talking about my own history, is that I'm aware at 30 that I actually do want to change these things. So that's why I think I am worth it. And you know what would be the better fix? Have her listen to this part of the podcast, because she'll know that you didn't do this for us to then share it with her. But there you go. Problem solved. So give it a week. Have her listen to this podcast. And then, good luck at the wedding.
Word. Good luck.
No, seriously.
No,
think
real.
About it that way. He wasn't doing this thinking we'd even read it. Now we read it. And so we're like the third party here giving him the advice. But at the same time, like, he actually, like, the most psychopathic thing ever would be to fake all of this stuff in the email, because he doesn't think we're going to say anything like that. But there you go. Problem solved. He wrote these sincere things to us. He's asking for the advice from us. Have her listen to this part of it, because then she's probably going to believe this part of it more than you just trying to repair it all. Although I do think it should be repaired. And if it can't be repaired, then,
lesson learned.
Then it does. Then it's not going to work. Then it might not have worked either. Because I think that even though we don't love hearing about everything, all right, we've all been there. You got to grow up about it a little bit. And, especially, I try to think of, like, the people that I work with and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, wait, if you're going to date somebody who works in sports, there's a pretty good chance, the female who works in sports has dated an athlete. I know that sounds shocking. But if you're a gorgeous woman working in sports that ends up marrying, and many of my people can joke about my friend zone situation with girls that I work with, but I'm just very, very close friends with, they end up with guys in sports, because guys in sports are fucking cool. I'm sorry, but I mean, the rest of us civilians are at a disadvantage because it is cool to be with the pro athlete thing. So, there's been plenty of times where I've gone, okay, well, I can't worry about some of this stuff from the past because even though it may not be what you want, it may not prefer it. There's parts of these things where you kind of just have to get past it, because if you start eliminating everybody before you even meet anybody, you never know. Okay, there you go. We'll be back I'm fired up about Friday's guest. So yeah, we'll be back on Friday.